What's up, everyone? Aaron Negler here with your Packers Daily Chat for Cheesehead TV on the YouTube channel. Going early today. It's Friday. Hope you're over your food coma from Thanksgiving, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Obviously, didn't have a chat yesterday, but we wanted to have one today. We'll be doing the Madden preview directly after this on the YouTube channel, so stick around for that. But Packers preparing for the big showdown in Minnesota on Sunday night. Mike McCarthy spoke a little bit ago, not shedding too much light on the injury situation. A lot of guessing going on there. If I had to guess, looking at the progression or lack thereof on the injury report, I would tend to think we'll probably not see Randall Cobb yet again, probably not see Kevin King yet again. And obviously Mike Daniels has already been said to be out. So it's going to be a tall order to go into that house of horrors up in Minnesota and pull out a victory. But that's where they have come to in their season. The Packers essentially have to win this game. I've been talking about it all week. This is a must-win game in the grand scheme of the 2018 season. They cannot afford to drop this one. The playoffs start Sunday night. And it's great to see so many people jumping on the chat. Unbelievable. I can't believe, it's a holiday weekend and people are still wanting to talk football, talk Packers with us here at Cheesehead TV. We're devoted to you guys. It's great to see everyone. Happy Thanksgiving from the Cape. What's up, James? How's the Cape? It's got to be cold up there. It's freezing in New York today. Jorge, hi, Aaron. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I did. What's the best game plan to beat the Vikings offense on Sunday? Well, I think disruption of the wide receivers is paramount. I know Mike Zimmer has spoken a lot about needing to run the football more, and I don't doubt that they'll try to get Dalvin Cook going early. Mike McCarthy countering today in his press conference saying they know they want to run the football more and they have to stop it first and foremost. But I still think that entire offense is all about their wide receivers. It's all about Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen. Those are two guys that they cannot afford to let go off, so to speak. Clearly, there'll be some kind of combination with Alexander and the other guys back there in the secondary, dependent on who's available. Again, we don't know Kevin King's status yet. But Thielen and Diggs, to me, it all starts and stops with them. If the Packers can control them, and I don't think they're going to stop them, obviously, because they will get theirs playing at home. Kirk Cousins gets them the ball regularly, and that's not something that you're going to completely shut down. But if you can kind of staunch the bleeding, so to speak, with those two guys and not let them go off, the Packers should have a good chance in this one. Lima Peru, what's up? Thanks for joining us. What's up from Sioux Falls, South Dakota? How are you doing, Brad? Thanks for checking in. Any update on Randall Cobb? Like I said, nothing official, nothing specific. Mike McCarthy being very vague. Reading the tea leaves, though, I'd be surprised if he plays. That's just my guess. Nice turtleneck, nice. It's cold. Cold day here in New York City. And I've got a cold, if you can't hear. I'm playing hurt, but I'm here for you guys. How come everyone is so quick to hammer the Packers for wasting Rodgers' career, but no one ever mentions the Saints for doing the same to Drew Brees? Good question, Dusty. I don't know. I guess because they've put up a lot of points and always been a really prolific offense and fun to watch. And the quarterback doesn't take passive-aggressive shots at the head coach in the press. Maybe that's why. I don't know. But, yeah, it is a real thing. I mean, Mike McCarthy and the Packers are lambasted consistently for wasting Rodgers, which is ridiculous. But no one ever talks about Sean Payton wasting Drew Brees. They went 7-9 3 years in a row, missing the playoffs each time. Sean Payton was suspended for a year. Yeah, but no, Sean Payton's the GOAT, apparently. I don't know. I don't get it. Vertical routes for Aaron Jones. David, we saw the wheel route there against the Seahawks. I would hope we'd see a few more opportunities for him down the field. I don't know how comfortable they are sending him downfield, but he made a nice adjustment to an underthrown ball by Rodgers for that touchdown in Seattle. I would hope they get him a little bit more involved in the passing game other than checkdowns and leaking out from protection, etc. I would love to see him more involved down the field. If we change head coaches, is it possible for Pettine to stay? Possible? Yes. Likely? No. Can the Packers' offensive line slow down the Vikings' defensive line? Brad, that's one of the biggest questions of the game. In Minnesota, in that environment, as loud as it gets, it is really tough work. It is really hard to operate, especially the way the Packers do on offense. Just the noise factor. Those guys have a really quick get off already, just naturally, and then you give them the noise advantage, and it becomes really, really tough. That's why, as I've been saying all week, I think it's important that they get back to the rhythm passing game, get the ball out of Rodgers' hands quickly. They can't get after him if he doesn't have the ball. Slants, quick digs, stuff out of the backfield, smoke screens, things like that. I think that's the way you're going to beat this pass rush, because I do think, Bulaga and Bakhtiari are two of the best, but in that environment, it's really, really tough. Time for the Packers to grow up. Looking at the organization, glad they are making money, could be winning more and building less. I'm not sure I agree with that one, Kevin. I think they can, walk and chew gum at the same time. I think they are taking advantage of a situation where they have the ability to build things up, but don't forget, that is the way they're going to stay solvent and basically exist in the modern NFL. The Patriots did the same thing a number of years ago with Patriot Place. The building of Titletown, everyone wants to poo-poo it and say, oh, that's all they're focused on. Without it, the Packers don't exist in the long run. I mean, you can say they need to win more, and of course, they've won a ton of games. They are coming off one of the longest playoff streaks ever in NFL history. But, yes, do they have to retool the roster a bit and stay competitive down the line? Absolutely. But I don't think anybody in that building is under any illusions about what's necessary and saying they have to grow up. I mean, they're actually doing the grown-up thing in investing in Titletown, because that is the money they get to keep, and they don't have to share with the rest of the league. Don't be so quick to be so dismissive of Titletown as a distraction or whatever. It is the reason that the team that you love will continue to exist for a long time. Philip, I'm not going to read that, but that really made me laugh. Grimy says, Thielen is a beast. Jair should cover him. Thielen broke our backs last time. If you'll notice in Packer Transplants, I said Thielen is the guy that scares the hell out of me. I do think Diggs will get his. I don't doubt for a second that he will be productive in spurts, but Thielen is the guy who continually gives them issues. And I agree with you as far as Jair needing to match up with him some of the time. I actually just posted out a clip from Mike Pettin talking about matching up his defensive backs with the opponent's wide receivers. I encourage you to check it out. It's really good stuff. And he talks about wanting to do that sometimes, doubling the one and putting his best guy on there too, etc. It's good stuff. Do you think the draft and development really works? Dan, yeah, I do. You have to augment it. It can't be as strident, I think, as Ted Thompson got towards the end of his career, but I do think it's the way you have to be in the NFL for the most part. Obviously, the big kind of switch now in the NFL is having a rookie quarterback or a quarterback on a rookie contract who you can build around quickly. Packers are obviously not in that position. And if you don't have that, and if you have a quarterback you've had to pay, like the Packers have, then yes, draft and develop is 100% the way you need to go. Yes, you still need to augment it with free agency, and free agency is not the trap that it used to be. There's certainly areas where you can spend and develop your roster from people outside of your organization and your program. But for the most part, yes, that is the way the Packers should be doing it. Jordy better than Thielen at me. Not right now, he's not. Any word on when Kevin King will return? Casey, nothing right now. Nothing official. Mike McCarthy being very cagey earlier today. Like I said at the top of the program here, I would be very surprised if he's up on Sunday night. Let's head over to Twitter. See what people are saying on the old tweet machine. Andy starts us off with, so with Kumerow practicing, the Packers have 7 wide receivers on the roster. Where does Kumerow land on the depth chart, and how many snaps a game does he get? Well, Andy, let's start with, we're not even sure if he's going to play Sunday night. He is eligible to. He has missed the requisite 8 games, so they could activate him to the 53-man roster. But as of noon on Friday, they have not done so. Now, yes, they could very well do it tomorrow at some point. In fact, I suspect that's what they'll do. As far as how involved he'll be, how many snaps he'll get, I'd be surprised if they threw him out there a ton, but I mean, Aaron Rodgers made no bones in the preseason about how much he enjoyed throwing to the kid, how he was always where he was supposed to be, etc. Seems to have the offense down, seems to know his assignments, seems to read things the way Rodgers does. So those aspects may play into him getting involved and getting on the field a lot quicker than maybe somebody else would. Now, you talk about the 7 wide receivers. I think this is, Jamon Moore's one-way ticket to the inactive list for the rest of the season. As sad as that is for a rookie pick who you wanted to get a little bit out of. He clearly has been behind the other two guys that were drafted, and I don't think for a second that he'll play over Jake Kumerow, considering how much 12 has gone to bat for him in the past. Jake Kumerow taking off IR, Stadia with the Gandalf nod. I just love that. I just love the Gandalf gif. Had to include it. David asks, could having a receiver back that 12 believes in and trusts be a bigger factor than it seems? Hashtag Kumerow, David. That's what I was just talking about. And yes, I think that will play a factor. A big issue, and Rodgers talked about it at his locker this week, has been, hesitation, not trusting some of the things he sees or the breaks these guys are going to make. It's clear he trusts Kumerow. He talks about it all the time. He talked about it all preseason, all summer long. So I think, while I don't expect Kumerow to come in and put up a huge stat line, I do think he will be involved if he's up, and I do think his kind of 12's trust in him will play a factor. Corey Banke looks like Jake Kumerow. Patrick, I couldn't have said it better myself. I totally agree. Eduardo says, we are seeing many attacks on the NFL that incorporate jet motions and end arounds and play action plays, taking advantage of the speed of their wide receivers. Could Trevor Davis open up that possibility in our playbook? I tend to think, yeah, it could a little bit, but we've seen them try this once or twice this year, and it always seems like the protection up front breaks down. They've had a couple plays where they've tried some end around action, and then Rodgers kind of turns his back and then turns around, and there's a guy in his lap that he's having to avoid. So I think it's a great idea, but they have to be able to hold up front, and that has not been the case, especially on the right side. Whatever happened to the back shoulder fade? I think it left town with Jordy Nelson. They've tried it a few times. They've tried to hit Devontae with it, and they actually have hit Devontae with it a few times. But other than that, it's a play that he's got to trust his receiver implicitly, meaning Rodgers, and clearly on this roster, there aren't a whole lot of them. Let's head back over to the live chat, see what's up. Rodgers playing frustrated is really hurting us. I tend to agree. And I think Rodgers, to his credit, acknowledged as much at his locker earlier this week. I just put up a clip on Twitter before I came live, and he was talking about, not only kind of needing to kind of bring it when it comes to the progressions and trusting what he sees, but also getting in and out of the huddle and getting up to the line of scrimmage and getting a play called and getting the snap off. He acknowledged that he has been killing them with these wasted timeouts, and it's good to see him take ownership of that. Hopefully that comes to bear finally on Sunday night. Does Clay get an offer from Green Bay after this season? I would doubt it. We'll see. I think they could use him at a reduced rate, obviously. But we'll see. The list of guys who get third contracts in Green Bay is short. Clay could be one of them, but we will see. Let's see. We got somebody yelling. Pro Football Focus ranked Kenny Clark in the top 5 defensive linemen. A crime if he doesn't get a spot in the Pro Bowl. I don't think one has to do with the other, but yes, he should definitely be in the Pro Bowl. Any thoughts on Jordan Rodgers' Twitter reply? No. Will Goot get more control if Mike McCarthy were to move on? Has he been growing the scouting group after the recent exit of scouts? Well, Kevin, he did hire a scout or two, I think, after some of the exodus. No, Gutekunst doesn't stand to be in line for more power / responsibility, at least as far as what Mark Murphy has said publicly. Now, that could change. Maybe he changes his mind and does give Gutekunst complete control of football operations, but I don't suspect that that's going to be the case. If Mark Murphy makes the decision, and it is his decision alone to let Mike McCarthy go, I tend to think he'll be the guy making the next hire, meaning Mark Murphy. Murphy will hire the coach, and that coach will answer to Mark Murphy, much like they've done in Pittsburgh for many, many years. Has Aaron Jones started to take over some pass pro duties, or is Williams still the guy? I don't know if it's so much being in there for pass protection duties. I think he's taken over the spot. You've seen him out there a lot more. Jamal Williams has gotten like a series or two the last couple games, but is Williams still better in pass protection? Absolutely. But I think they're just going to have to get Jones out there more, and that means he's going to be asked to do more in pass protection. What are the chances Mo Wilkerson comes back on a deal next year after the injury? I would tend to think pretty good. I know he has to be disappointed. He probably wanted to use this year to parlay it into a big deal next year. That's obviously not going to happen. But I think some of that will depend on, is Pettine back? Is Mike McCarthy back? Is Pettine back? And if so, I think there's a good chance. But that all has to play out yet. Why does nobody want to go for Mark Murphy's head? Doesn't he control the staff? Rob, he doesn't control the coaching staff. He decides whether to hire or fire the head coach, but then the head coach puts together his staff. And I would caution going after Mark Murphy about anything until we've seen a few years play out with him in complete control of football operations. This is a new move in the grand scheme of things, where he has taken control and now has Russ Ball, Mike McCarthy, and Brian Gutekunst answering to him. But that doesn't mean because they've had a disappointing season up to this point, that suddenly Mark Murphy needs to go or be looked at or whatever. Murphy's still doing a pretty darn good job as the CEO of the Green Bay Packers. Angry Nagler equals beer. Happy Nagler equals beer. Makes sense, I guess. Raji on end arounds. Nobody wants to see that. Why don't we play Jamal at fullback? That's because it's not his gig. He is a running back. Can Aaron Jones play the entire game instead of one half? Eddie, I would encourage you to look at his snap count and snap distribution, especially over the last 2 games. He has been out there a lot. Now, he hasn't been utilized as much as probably we'd like to see, but he has been on the field a whole heck of a lot more than he was earlier in the year. Thoughts on Jimmy Graham this year? Has he slowed down a little bit? Michael, I don't think he's slowed down at all. I think he's exactly where he was last year. The disappointment with Graham is the lack of touchdowns. I don't think there's any question there. You knew coming in he was not going to be a terror between the 20s. I thought he was going to be effective, but where the value was going to be was in the red zone and in the end zone. But for whatever reason, Rodgers has tried it a few times to give him the 50-50 ball, but Graham has, for the most part, not come down with those. And, Rodgers is never going to be a guy who throws a lot of those. So for whatever reason, they have shied away from featuring Graham in the red zone, and I think, to me, that's the disappointment, because that's where the value should have been. But we'll see. Apparently, he's going to play through the thumb, and he was catching everything at practice yesterday, so we'll see. Hope you had a good turkey day with the fam. I appreciate you. Sean, thank you, and I appreciate you showing up here at Packers Daily. And yes, I had a fantastic turkey day. My daughters and I had a ball. Mike McCarthy is a good coach, but I'd always question his play calling in key moments of the game. I think that's entirely fair. That's your right as a fan. I think what's always been hard for me when it comes to Mike McCarthy and criticizing play calls, even though I do it all the time, and then I go back later and I think about it, because you're in the moment, right? You're just pissed and you got to bitch about something. So you bitch out McCarthy, which I do it. I totally get it. But afterwards, when I'm thinking about it and I'm reflecting on the game, it's hard to know how much of that is Mike and how much of it is Aaron. How much of it is a 50-50 call at the line? How much of it is a check with me? Is Aaron just straight up changing the play? Did he see a look from the defense that said, well, I should do this? In fact, week 2 against the Vikings is a perfect example where they have a 3rd and 2 in the red zone, and Rodgers correctly reads 2 high safeties and gives the ball to the running back thinking we should be able to pick up 2 yards, and they don't. And afterwards, everyone on Twitter is killing Mike McCarthy for it, but that's a read from Aaron Rodgers. So that's why it's always difficult in this offense to lay the blame completely on McCarthy when a call is questionable or doesn't work, because Rodgers has a big hand in it, probably a bigger hand than most quarterbacks in the NFL. Any chance of a draft day party in Green Bay with Cheesehead TV? Kevin, stay tuned. I don't know what we're doing for the draft, but I do think we will be in Green Bay, and I do think we'll have some kind of public event. So stick with us, kid. All right, everybody, I'm going to have to get going. Thank you so much for all the questions. Like I say all the time, I can't believe how many people show up each and every day. When we're done here, we'll be flipping the studio around, and we'll be doing the Madden preview. So if you can't wait for Sunday night, find out how it's all going to play out. Corey and I will be on the YouTube channel playing Madden, taking your questions, chatting with you. Thank you so much. If you're here, make sure you subscribe, like, share, whatever platform you're on. Join our Patreon. For those of you who want to support what Cheesehead TV does, our patrons have kind of exploded in number the last couple days. It's great to see everyone jumping on board. Thank you so much. We are devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. Have a great weekend, everybody.